So I never had to worry about hiding the alcohol on my breath because that was a part of me figuring it out on how to be able to show up to work being intoxicated, or, I mean, still shouldn't be showing up hungover because you're not 100%.
On the last episode of part 1 of the Blue Grit podcast.
You ended up telling me do good things for your troops. And then I like to think that I'm trying to live up to that and I was on third phase of training, and it was Easter Sunday morning, and he had come into town to see his folks from college. Crossing the street, guy was speeding he was going about 75 and 50, ended up just absolutely just obliterating him. He ended up hitting the street about 120 feet from the initial impact, bounced, went another additional 50 or so feet before he crashed into the tree, where he eventually passed. And the part about the scene that really haunted me and gave me nightmares and just in general prevented me from sleeping wasn't so much the image of seeing Paul's body just like hugged up on the tree with his head split open. It was hearing his girlfriend, hearing his friends, hearing his family members that were screaming at the top of their lungs at the scene. I had never heard that kind of ear-piercing sorrow. This wave of relief comes over me on saying, you can go to bed. That was a very defeated that was the most defeated feeling I have ever had, was having that happen again and again and again. And then also, some of those nights, I didn't have anything to eat all day because of work. So I am feeling it just tenfold.
Yeah.
Just the spins and falling down. And I'm recognizing, I'm like, this sucks. This feels like crap. I wake up in the morning and I vomit every single morning. I feel like absolute crap. Even worse so than the night before. I go on ahead and I'm self-medicating myself with Excedrin and easily 900 milligrams of caffeine before the end of detail. So that's about an hour and a half, 2 hours. I'm pounding back that much caffeine so that I can feel normal and stable and alert. And at that point, that's when the voice in the back of my head is going, see, it's not that bad. You're still here. You're okay. Hell no, I'm not okay. So I ended up looking it up as to what I was vomiting one day, because I was like, what did I eat? Because it looked like I threw up tar. Googling it, and finding out that when you throw up and it looks like a black tar-like substance, it's because you actually have tearing in your esophageal lining or your stomach, and that's blood. That's blood mixed with stomach acid. So I had already found that out, went on and said, that can't be true, that can't be me. It must have been some weird that I cooked and ate. Found out about 2 years later, when I finally got help and went to rehab, that the doctor's there. I posed the question. I said, what does it mean if you end up having a tar-like substance when you throw up? So they go, that's blood mixed with stomach acid. Into my head, I'm like, yeah, I already knew that. I guess I just wanted to hear a doctor say it to me. And as it turned out, I actually had slight tearing and damage to my esophageal lining from the amount of times that I threw up, and having the acid from vomiting just
multiplied it.
It multiplied it with the liquor. You're just going to corrode it.
Yeah. Were you drinking every single day?
Every single day.
Let me ask you, and it's a dumb question, but growing up and you drink too much and you wake up the next morning and you're like, good God, I feel freaking horrible. And it takes 2 days to recover. And I'm just asking from an ignorance standpoint, was there any point where you're like, God bless, I can't keep getting up feeling like hammered shit. I just got to quit? Or is that the coping where you load up the caffeine, load up the Tylenol and the Excedrin, and keep dumping energy drinks or coffee down until you make that hair of the dog or whatever, you get past that? Because it seemed like it kicks my ass if I do it once. I can't imagine building that every day, all day, all day.
So, no, what you said is exactly the way it is. It kicked my ass every single morning. It wasn't, God bless.
You're good. I'm take a break.
I know. So, it kicked my ass every single day. Probably would have easily, if I was a normal person, would have been laid up for like a week with it kicking my ass that well. But just being able to figure out on how to make myself feel better, you got that just head splitting pain in your head from the hangover, etc. It works like a champ because it actually has caffeine in it. So that's why it gets into your system faster. And people go, man, Excedrin works quick. It's like, well, better. It's got caffeine, so it can work into your bloodstream faster.
Gotcha. Did bourbon start out as your drink of choice? Did it stay that, or did you have to adapt it trying to hide alcohol in your breath, or what is that?
So I never had to worry about hiding the alcohol on my breath because that was a part of me figuring it out on how to be able to show up to work without being intoxicated still shouldn't be showing up hungover because you're not 100%. But because I bought a bunch of little mini breathalyzers and I actually used a bunch of sick days because I would end up waking up. I'm like, man, I don't feel like I normally do, which is just absolute dog shit. And that was a red flag. If I didn't feel like absolute crap, I'm most likely still intoxicated. So,
wow.
So I ended up, again, breathalyzers to start figuring out, okay, how much can I drink and at what time do I have to stop drinking?
Wow.
So that then I can end up getting my sleep, wake up, and then go to work. Because when it comes to leaving to go to work, I keep a very, very strict schedule for myself because I hate even showing up 2 minutes late. Like you always have those officers that are like, hey, start time would be 2 minutes late. Traffic. I'm always there 10 to 15 minutes early because I don't want to be late ever.
Even going through your drinking, we were always punctual?
Even going through my drinking. It could have been that I was just saving face, but really that's just how I was. It was if you're early, you're on time. That was how things were with my dad, my coaches, everybody. You show up early and then you're on time. So I had to keep that up. So I would end up getting the little mini breathalyzers, and I knew that they weren't accurate more than once. So basically, you could get a pack of like 5 for $25, $30 from Amazon. So I'd end up getting those, and I started basically using myself as an experiment. Okay, how much do I normally drink? Okay, I drink about a fifth. So let's start drinking at this time. I would drink, and then general 3-hour window for an entire fifth is what it became. But finding out as to when that stopping point was the breathalyzer. And it actually would be about, because I'd end up setting my alarms to make sure I'd wake up earlier than normal so I could see where I was at. I literally made myself into a science experiment with this. And it was probably about an hour or two before I'd wake up through metabolization and whatnot that I'd be triple zeroed out. So that's how I ended up figuring that out. And then I had a few on hand where if I woke up and I was a little worried, use it. Okay, I'm triple zeroed out. We're good to rock and roll. Let's go ahead and get the Excedrin. Let's get all that caffeine into me so that we can continue on with life.
And you generally don't get REM and deep sleep when you're hammered.
No.
So even though you were scheduling proper time and length, you're probably not resting well, not getting healthy sleep.
No, not at all. And I can't remember who ended up doing the experiments and all that. But that was something I ended up learning at rehab, was how it ended up affecting you mentally, physically, and the mental part with being able to sleep. You're not getting REM sleep, so you're not dreaming. Your brain's not operating like it should. That actually led into other problems for me, because eventually your body is going to just need to crash out, and you're going to hit that REM sleep way harder than normal at a certain point because of everything that I've seen and everything I dealt with in terms of not dealing with it.
Right.
Those images would end up hitting me like a freight train. And I mean, I would actually wake up screaming from just the images and the nightmares and then the random made up scenarios in my head, because now everything that I have been suppressing on those random days where that REM would just some in as hard as possible, it would absolutely just shake me to my core while sleeping even.
So you're essentially a functioning alcoholic as a full-time Dallas police officer, going out and solving everybody else's problems and not wanting to face this major problem.
No, never. Because if you end up asking for help, why are you trying to help other people if you need help? You have to be the master of everything.
Yeah. And Good. At being at Dallas Police Department, you'd been there through some administration changes.
Yes.
At some point, you felt the need and felt comfortable enough to reach out and say, "Hey, I've got a problem here." And as a cop, just like you said, asking for help, that doesn't exist for us because we're supposed to be these superheroes, and you just don't do that. You don't mix personal shit with business. For the fear of retaliation. Let's just call it what it is. At what point did that change, and at what point did you feel comfortable to reach out to somebody at DPD and say, "Hey, I've got this issue," and talk about the aspect of how they helped you?
So my reaching out and asking for help, it ended up starting about a week before I ended up actually asking for help. An email came on through department-wide from Chief Garcia. There was a couple of high-profile individuals on the department who ended up getting arrested for alcohol-related incidents, and then subsequently they got fired. He recognized there was a problem. He said, "This needs to change. I want everybody to come up with an idea. I need this fixed. I need this to stop or give people a chance." Chief Ramirez jumped ahead and he got a hold of the wellness unit, and they made the alcohol leave program, which would afford officers that came forward stating that they needed help because of alcohol-related issues prior to any administrative or legal problems that they got themselves into, saying, "I need help before, not I got arrested for DWI. I could use some help now." No. It allowed for 30 days of paid administrative leave to an inpatient facility. I got that email, sitting at home with my wife, bourbon in my hand, and I went, "This is a crock of shit." I honest to God felt and believed, just because, as most of us have mistrust with any administration, doesn't matter who it is, this is just a way to go on ahead and get people just put out there in the spotlight so then that they can just be just belittled and damned and demeaned, sent to the auto pound, sent to the property room, which there's no problem with those places, but they're generally used as punitive measures because it keeps you out of the public eye in a general way.
So that initial email didn't resonate with you at all?
It did not at all. It didn't resonate with anybody that I knew, because most of the department was on the exact same mindset of this seems like a trap. This does not seem like it's going to be the safe haven that it's putting itself out to be.
Did that initial email say, or did it come out later, that if you take the proactive step before an I or before getting in trouble, you get 30 days paid leave and you return right back to your role without punitive, without discipline or any of that? Or is that something that came about later? Did that first email say that?
So I don't recall that part of the email. In fact, I didn't even realize that there would be no kind of punitive actions in any way, shape, or form, or being held back from positions until after I had gotten out of rehab. But that initial email was the very beginning of me asking for help, because it was just a little nugget in the back of my mind. I brought it up to my wife, and because I just wanted to put out there to her that I thought this was crap. And a week goes by, and nothing except for the actual grace of God ended up making me reach out for help. My wife was the very first person I reached out to for help. We're just sitting there. It's another normal day. I have my drink, and for no reason that I can't end up explaining, I end up sitting my drink down. I lean forward on the couch, and I say, "Megan, I have something we need to talk about." She knew that I drank, but she had no idea how much I drank, because after we started living together, I hid it from her. Like most alcoholics, I would end up having it off to the side or behind her back so I could end up getting my drinks And I knew that she's with me, so she can smell the alcohol. So have my little drink in my hand. So that would explain why I smell like alcohol, just not how much I was drinking. But I set it down and I ended up telling her we have something I need to talk about. And we have a lengthy discussion. And I needed help for probably about 4 years, but the last 2 years was when my drinking got absolutely out of control. After we ended up talking, she ended up looking over at me and she was like, just point blank, she was like, "Do you need help?" I said, "Yes." I was like, "I have needed help for years."
Was that almost impossible to say?
It probably would have been if I was drunker or some more sober. I was in a weird window, I would say, of
Buzz, a kind
of buzz and honesty and breaking down at the same time. And she ended up telling me, "You're going to go talk to your sergeant tomorrow morning." So I wake up, throw up, get my Excedrin, start lying to myself again. "You're okay. Everything's fine. Not feeling that bad. Let's just keep on everything the same." My wife left for work the same time around I did back then. And when she was getting ready to leave, she ended up reminding me, she's like, "You're going to go talk to your sergeant today."
Damn it, she remembered.
Well, my sergeant would have remembered also because apparently while I was drunk, I ended up texting her saying, just right then and there, "Hey, when we finish detail, I need to talk to you about something. Do you mind us having a conversation?" So I'd already gone ahead and asked her. I didn't realize that till
Those dang drunk texts.
I know, right? They get you every time. But I didn't realize that till I was going to work, and then I was checking my email, and I ended up seeing that there was a reply, and it just said, "Okay." That's when I saw that I had texted her that I wanted this meeting, and I was like, "Okay, so this meeting's going to happen."
Yes. So let me ask you: you're having a bourbon, you see the email. A week later, I'm assuming those next 6 or 7 days were rinse and repeat, drink, get sick, go to work, drink, blah, blah. And then you're sitting there with your wife having a bourbon. What changed that day from those previous 6 to make you lean forward and say, we're doing this?
So this is actually why I end up saying that it was divine intervention on this. So my entire life, I grew up and I was raised Catholic, and a part of being Catholic is understanding the Eucharistic sacrament. Like, we believe that it is the body and blood of Jesus Christ that has been transfigured with the blessing. A part of accepting it is basically going to confession, being right with God. I didn't feel right with God because after July 7th had happened, I had completely abandoned my faith. I had completely abandoned God. Started going to church again because of my wife. But I wasn't accepting the Eucharist because in my heart, I deep down knew I wasn't right with God. The day that I ended up reaching out to Megan for help, the one thing that had changed and was different was it was a Sunday. We had gone to church. Something deep down in my heart didn't tell me to go up to the priest, cross my arms, my chest for a blessing. Something told me to accept the Eucharist, and I hadn't accepted it in years because I hadn't been right with God. And after I had accepted it, that was hours later that night when I ended up telling my wife that I needed help. So I firmly and fully believe that it was God that ended up helping just kick that domino forward to get this chain of events started to get me help.
So you get to work, Sergeant reminds you, y'all are having a meeting. How'd that go?
So I want to say her name because I told her I'm going to be giving her praise every single time. Her and Chief Ramirez and Chief Garcia, Sergeant Figueroa and Joe King. And Sergeant, she's not a sergeant anymore. She's a lieutenant, Lieutenant Valentine. She ended up coming into her office, and I sit down, or prior to me sitting down, I go on ahead and I close the door.
Were y'all close as work goes, or was it just a distant sergeant patrol?
It was close. It was closer than a patrol sergeant and troop relationship because I was a part of the violent crime task force that Chief Garcia had started, and she was the lieutenant over there. Started as a sergeant, and then she stayed in the position when she promoted to lieutenant. So she hand selected me and 4 others. She looked at our entire work histories, talked to supervisors, wanted to see how we wrote reports, and then hand selected us from a pool of a couple hundred people that had applied. So we had a little bit closer of a relationship, and she had actually seen me in action at work on one day. She was on a different watch on the same channel as me, and it was an armed gunman call that we ended up having a standoff with him in the hallway of a hotel. And so she'd gotten to see me do that, but it was, well, I wouldn't say it was a very close relationship that we had at that time, but it was definitely closer than most supervisor subordinate relationships, because we have to be that close when we're that small of a unit.
Yeah, right.
So I end up closing the door and I sit down, and Lieutenant Valentine realized that there was something wrong right there, because I'm always somebody that I like to joke around. I like to have fun, mainly because I feel like shit. I want to see other people smile, because, well, somebody who's feeling horrible doesn't want people brought down to their level generally. Makes you happy to see people happy, at least for a short minute. So I end up shutting the door, and she recognizes that there's already something wrong. There's no way I could possibly try to explain to her my mindset, because my mind's all over the place as to how I got to where I was. So I broke down crying in front of her and said everything in the most incoherent way possible of needing help. And when I finished, I just told her, I don't know who I need to reach out to. I need help. Please, please help me. She looked at me and she ended up telling me, she goes, I'm not sure who to reach out to, but she goes, I'm going to find out for you. I'm going to call you, and we're going to get this figured out now. She didn't look at me in a way of just like trying to shuffle me off to the side because now I'm a problem, or a person that has a problem that's going to cause her issues, especially in a specialized unit that's brand new.
Yeah.
I mean, we had no funding really, because it was that new deal. It was a pilot still. So she ended up reaching out and found and got the wellness unit, the officer wellness longevity unit, the OWL unit, which was also a newer unit that had started, got a hold of Joe King. And the next thing I knew, I'm getting phone calls from Joe King, Sergeant Figueroa. They're asking me questions on how I had gone to where I was, and then asked me to come in. I go in, I sit down with them. They go on ahead and they give me a breakdown of how the program actually works.
And this is all on duty.
This is all on duty. This is same day and the following morning.
Joe King have a shirt on?
It looked like it was painted on.
Yeah.
The man is very
medium.
He is very muscular. He shops at Baby Gap.
He's always showing off the cobras, the big pythons he has. If I had him, I would show them off too.
I would as well. But yeah, so I end up going into their office, and it's a closed door meeting. And at this point, all they're saying is, hey, are you the officer that works for Lieutenant Valentine or Sergeant Valentine at the time? They didn't know my name, really. They didn't know anything about me. And until I walked through their door, that's how much anonymity that they're giving to this entire program. When I went through their door, nobody knows why I'm there, because I could be there asking for resources, just to hang out, or anything else of the X, Y, and Z and above. So they end up talking to me behind closed doors inside the office. And basically, at that moment in time, the only people that knew that I was needing help was Joe, their lieutenant, my lieutenant, and the rest of the entire department. I was number 2. That's all I was listed as. For anonymity's sake and HIPAA, I was just listed as number 2.
When you walked through that door and sat there for a minute, did you realize you had just walked into what that email was about?
Yes. I realized I had walked into probably the end of my career. Because remember, my mindset with that email was, I'm done.
It's rigged.
I am a senior corporal at this time who got hand selected for a specialized unit. I used to have fun on the streets, chasing bad guys. I was a part of the vice enforcement section for a short while. All that's done. I'm now going to be sidelined forever. But deep down, I was like, it doesn't matter. I need this help. Didn't help that I was very, very fearful as to what would happen with my career. But I knew I needed this when I walked into that door.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Nonprofit leaders, are you sick of trying to do more with less? Are you struggling to engage donors, secure funding, and keep your team from burning out? At the Small Nonprofit Podcast, we bring you bite-sized strategies from experts who have been in your shoes so you can raise more money, build stronger teams, and grow your impact without the overwhelm. Join us every week for real success stories and smart fundraising insights that you can start using right away. Because small nonprofits deserve big success. Listen to the Small Nonprofit wherever you get your podcasts.
So you're sitting there with Joe King in the Al unit, and at some point they're like, this is the game plan. This is what's going to happen. And talk about the experience of that.
So when I was sitting there, they were still vetting out different rehabilitation centers and trying to get it pinpointed down as to what does the administrative leave days mean. Originally, I was going to be scheduled to going to, I believe it's called Warrior's Heart. That was actually the first one that they were originally going to schedule me for. When I got off the phone call interview with the administrator over at their place, they ended up informing me that it's 42 days at their facility for inpatient. That was a bit of an issue because our administrative leave policy was for 30 days. We ended up coming to get clarification after the fact, and I could have gone to Warrior's Heart if I wanted to the next day. But we found out that it's not 30 straight calendar days. It's 30 work days.
Oh.
So when you end up adding it up, it extends past the actual regular 30 days of a calendar. Right. So that would actually map out to being able to cover those 42 days. So after I had gotten the phone call from them, they said it was 40 days. I was like, I need to give Joe a call because this seems like an issue. Ended up calling him, and he's like, okay, well, there's this other place called La Hacienda in Hunt, Texas. And then he mentioned two others. One was in California that they were vetting, and then there was one that was really close by. And I didn't want to do one that was incredibly close by because I was like, I need to isolate myself from any kind of temptation.
Yep, extremely smart, I think.
So ended up going to saying, all right, let's go to Hunt, Texas, and have this done there. It was an incredibly grueling 1 week. It was 1 week to the day from when I said, we're going to do this to I got in the car the dead of night with now Sergeant Massey and Figueroa, and they drove me down because they asked me, do you want to drive yourself down? Do you want your fiance to drive you down? Or do you want us to drive you down? I told them just flat out, know myself. If I drive down, I will convince myself at a certain point to turn around. If my wife drives me down, or at the time, my fiance, she drives me down, there's a good chance that I could change her mind to turn around, but I knew that if I ever got the opportunity to, I would have tried to get her to turn that car around.
I think she's back there and she just said no.
Oh, no. That's why I said there's probably a good chance I wouldn't be able to get it. But if the opportunity was there, I definitely would have tried to take it.
Yeah.
So
that's some great recognition on your part of, I don't want to be in a facility close to home, and I probably need somebody stubborn to drive me down there.
Well, I also needed somebody that outranked me because that might keep my ass in line on actually following through with making it from point A to point B, which I had to tell Sergeant Fig that the one place, because it's about a 5-hour drive from Dallas. So there's one stop off that they have to make for gas. And I had to tell them, I didn't have to tell them, but I still told Fig about couple months after the podcast, I was like, don't stop there. And then go on ahead and leave the alcoholic alone in the bathroom with an actual exit in the bathroom, because I actually considered going out that door. And he looked at me and he went, oh, I didn't even think about that. I was like, yeah, thought crossed my mind. We stopped off, rest stop, hit the head, get gas. I hit the head. Fig leaves out the bathroom before me, and I'm just looking at the door going, I really don't want to do this. I didn't want to do it as soon as I sat in their car at headquarters to drive down. Like, I was already having full anxiety. Just, I don't want to do this. I want to back out now. And being left alone to have an escape route, I was like, I get why people try to run from us all the time.
Wow.
But had you been drinking since you'd made the out? Because there'd been a couple of days.
I drank heavier than I had in my entire life
For that week?
for that week.
Yeah. Wow.
The lowest amount I ended up drinking that week was the night before, and that actually led to some issues when I first got to the rehabilitation center. My wife, she was going to drive me to headquarters so that then they could pick me up and take me down to Hunt, Texas. And I don't know why I was thinking I've already admitted that I'm an alcoholic. I need help. I can't control my drinking. I still wanted to hide it that night before. So I stopped off at the liquor store and I got myself, and it makes me so sad that I ended up getting this. Instead of getting bourbon, I ended up getting 8 of the little 99 proof shot vodka bottles. And I just ended up pounding back all 8 of those. And I mean, it shot back like water. It tasted like absolutely nothing for me. And it didn't even hit me all that hard. But what turned into an issue was that was about 8 p.m. when I ended up taking those drinks. About 8:30-ish when we ended up showing up at La Hacienda, 9:15 when they took me to the medical center for evaluation. And they're seeing my blood pressure and they're seeing my heart rate. And it is absolutely through something along the lines of like 180 over 120 as my blood pressure and a resting heart rate of 125.
God.
And they asked me, they're like, when was the last time you drank? And I was like, at 8. They go, so about an hour ago? And I go, no, 8 p.m. Now, they already had my history from when I told them on the phone how much I drank. They were hoping I was lying. They ended up pulling out their breathalyzer and I was triple zeroed out. And now they're worried because as I got to find out, they want you to be driven there and show up intoxicated. So then they can safely wean you off and get you down to 0 so that your rehabilitation can start there. I got to find out that detoxing from alcohol is more lethal than people detoxing off of heroin. I did not know that was a thing.
Yeah.
I was like, heroin's the king of killers when you try to get off it. No, it turns out it's alcohol.
Really drying out.
So they ended up considering taking me out of their emergency care center that they have on site with doctors to go take me to a legitimate ER. So they ended up throwing Ativan down my throat to be able to help me detox. And normally you're in there for about one day, sometimes 2 for observation and all of that, unless you're really bad off like I was. I ended up staying in there for 4 to 5 days.
Damn.
And I mean, 4 to 5 days, nights, just blood pressure cuff on you, again, woken up 3 to 4 times a night, sure that you're not dead.
Still not getting that REM sleep.
Still not getting that sleep. The only positive part was, I mean, the Ativan, because they get you onto there so then they can taper you off so that now you're not going to just have a heart attack and die from the detox. I was getting driven around in a golf cart to all the different meetings. So that was the one positive aspect. I'm like, I can't sleep, but I don't have to walk, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're kind of cut off from the outside world when you're there. You go through the rehab process, still getting a paycheck. Your wife or fiance at that point in time is still being supported financially from you being at DPD. What was it like graduating and going back home of kind of having to now there's the test, right? You can go through rehab and you can ask for help, but the test is returning back home into your environment and continuing to say no. Talk about the experience of that and talk about the going back to work.
So I immediately recognized, even on the day or the day before I was going to be released to go back home. I was like, I feel great. Everything's fine. I was like, I've never felt better before, and I have zero desire to have a drink. And then I'm realizing I'm like, I'm in a fucking bubble. I was like, of course I don't want to drink. There's no fucking opportunity for me to drink. I was like, I can have water, coffee, or soda. I was like, that's my only option. So obviously I don't want alcohol.
Completely sanitized environment.
Oh, very much so. I was already realizing that this is going to be harder, but at least I got that into my head of where I'm not invincible. I took that to heart from the counselors. It was like, when you leave, that's going to be the bigger issue. Immediately get yourself an AA group, get yourself a support network if you don't have one, and just wrap yourself in those for at least the next 6 months, because if you make it 6 months, your chances of relapsing dwindle just exponentially. If you're going to relapse 80% of the people, it's within the first 6 months of getting sober. So I end up getting out, and immediately the sanitization of the environment is completely gone, because there's already house issues that were happening while I was in rehab that I even got told about, with the plumbing completely breaking. So I can't even go back home. I'm having to go to my fiance's townhouse. That might have been a good thing in it itself, because my house was my drinking environment.
Yeah.
So I actually got myself removed from there. Maintaining the sobriety outside, I want to say it was easy, but it's not. It wasn't. I had the very good fortune of finding, at the time, a good temporary home group for AA, and then when I ended up moving up back to my house after the plumbing was fixed, I ended up getting my home group there. That was very, very supportive, very helpful. My sponsor, unbelievable guy, but there was a lot of I wasn't prepared for the stress.
Yeah.
As soon as the stress started coming and hitting in waves, I wanted to have a drink. But that very, very first day after getting out of rehab, getting settled, I wanted to go back to work. So I wanted that normalcy.
Yep.
That was probably the best day that I had ever had, because after I got out, I had a kind of a debrief with Joe and Fig, and I found out, no, you're going to be able to go back to your unit. This isn't going to affect your ability to promote, which were the two biggest things that I had to worry about. I also thought that they were going to keep me from going back for like an observation period, I would say.
Right.
Nope.
You kept waiting for that underlying, hey, we got you, the gotcha moments, where we're kind of what you're waiting on.
And I was actually trying to get them to give it to me early, because I wanted to be able to say, like, I knew that there was something wrong with this program, because they said, okay, so you have the 30 days of administrative leave. You've only used X number of days, because I didn't use the full 30 administrative days, because I used 30 calendar days for when I was in rehab. So I ended up telling them, I was like, I want to go back to work. And they go, what do you mean? I go, I want to go back to my unit tomorrow. I want to start feeling normal.
Get back on the horse.
I fully expected them to balk, or to be a bluff, and them to say, no, you can't. You have to stay off. We need to wean you back into it. You're going to be working the station at a different substation away from your group, just so you can get back into the habit and then get forgotten about. I was expecting all of that. Instead, I just got, are you sure? And I'll go, yeah. All right. I'm looking around. I'm going,
where's the punchline?
I was like, I can.
Damn,
like,
that email was right.
So I end up going on ahead, and I go to work the next 16 hours after having been released. I'm going to work and finding out that I'm going to be serving a warrant on this dope house that they were also going after guns in it as well. I'm like, what the heck? I was like, yeah, I had to be perimeter because they had been working it, but I still got to go on a warrant right after, like, nothing happened.
Did it feel good? Did it feel weird to be at work and feel good?
Yes. It didn't,
because you hadn't in 4 years?
No, I hadn't felt like that in 4 years. Basically, it felt like something was kind of itchy on the back of the head. You know, like when you go to scratch, you just can't get it. It just keeps like bothering you. It felt like there was something weird. Like I was having fun. I was still enjoying it, but it just felt like something was wrong and something was off just because actual normal wasn't normal for me. My normal was abnormal. So yeah, that was a very weird part.
Feeling good.
Feeling actually good. Mind you, I couldn't enjoy the feeling good because I'm too busy thinking something's wrong. When there's nothing wrong, I had to actually get used to feeling good.
2 questions. I've never gotten to talk to somebody that's gone through the process at length that was in law enforcement. You're there 30 days. I know the first part of it has to feel like physical, mental, emotional hell. Is there a point during that 30 days where you're like, man, the clouds are breaking, the sun's coming out, there's light at the end of my tunnel, I actually feel pretty good? Or is the whole thing pretty much a rough, rocky road? What does that look like?
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Want to know what it takes to build a successful blue-collar business in the trades?
There hasn't been this giant resourceful area that a construction-minded individual that wants to start a business, whether it be HVAC, concrete, steel, I don't care what you choose.
That's Cy Kirby, host of the Blue Collar Business Podcast. Dive into the world of all things blue collar, where Cy shares real strategies, hard-earned lessons, and the truth about what it takes to run a successful trade business. Best put your boots on. You're about to get inspired. Listen to the Blue Collar Business Podcast today, wherever you get your podcasts.
So, I mean, the way you ended up describing it was at the end there is pretty much it. I mean, I should have brought it. So I have an ATF photo of myself from when I ended up getting my short barrel rifle. It is a picture of me like pretty soon after I had gotten out. I look like shit.
Really?
Yeah. Like I looked incredibly rough immediately coming out. It did not help that that I had a handlebar mustache that came down past my lips down to my chin. But I mean, my eyes were, I had big old bags under my eyes. There were dark circles under there. I looked horrifically exhausted. I looked how I should have looked every morning hungover. But yeah, going through it, there were days where I was like, I feel like I can breathe fresh air, but it was always rocky. Like, cause this isn't my life. My life was drinking. That's what I did. I woke up and I went to work so I could go home to drink. So the mental aspect and the hurdles that I was having to do to recognize what is normal is weird. It's basically like trying to see somebody get unbrainwashed from a cult.
So my second question, a bottle of bourbon a day, what does a liquor bill per week look like? If you don't mind sharing.
Liquor bill per week. I actually did the math in rehab. God, what was it? Because I'm sure somebody can end up doing the math a lot better than me. It was a fifth of Woodford Reserve every single day, the regular, not the rye, and then 2 to 3 handles of Maker's Mark on the weekend. Well, I didn't have to go into work, so
that was true.
So I could just wake up and drink instead of having to have caffeine. I had a full 24 hours for 2 days in a row that I could drink. God forbid I ended up running out while I had a handle because I couldn't go drive.
Yeah.
God, what was it? I can't remember if it was something like, I think I did it for the month with my math. It was somewhere around like $2,500 to $3,500 a month I was spending on liquor.
Wow.
You got a raise.
Yeah.
Yes, I did.
Wow.
But I was also sometimes upcharging because COVID brought one of the greatest, worst things to ever happen to an alcoholic known to man, which was liquor delivery service.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Wow. Like door dashing.
DoorDash strictly for liquor.
Wow.
Yeah, and Chili's margaritas will do that too. Like restaurants will do it.
You've heard
Yeah, I've heard
rumors.
Yeah, I've partaken in that one once before at a big party.
But yeah, my monthly bill was probably around $2,500 to $3,200 to $3,500 a month.
But what's crazy is knowing some people that have been through what you went through. Me being the son of an alcoholic that ultimately cost my dad his life. He had cirrhosis of the liver, and he couldn't shake that demon. To see you where you are today, to be really the icon of somebody in a movement of saying, hey, it's okay to not be okay and survive that, man, kudos to you. I never understood why Dad couldn't kick the habit. You know, there were plenty of times where I played sports like you did, and he wouldn't show up for any of my games, and there was a lot of anger built up there. And I never understood it, still don't understand it, quite honestly, of how you can let something control you so bad to not see your kids or not experience that. And so to see you where you are today, to come out on the other side, more successful, more determined, more focused, and it's truly is remarkable. Truly is remarkable. So, and it saved your life. I mean, again, we just buried Dad 3 years ago from his disease. And so to see you where you are today, man, it's incredible.
So I ended up getting sober on October 5th, 2022. And it's 2025 March. So that at math, there's about 7 more months until I hit my 3-year mark.
Yeah.
This 3-year mark for me is going to be more significant than the 1 year or the 2 year to me because of one thing that ended up getting told to me when I was in rehab. So when you get there, you have blood tests done left and right. I mean, there's no real way to test the liver without a biopsy, but through the blood, you can end up seeing the liver enzymes.
Mm-hmm.
My liver enzymes were about 4 to 5 times higher than normal. I ended up getting told by the doctor because they looked at how much I drank. They're like, okay, damn, you did drink. You only drank liquor, not beer. And I was like, beer fills me up. I want to get hammered. So he ended up telling me, he's like, most likely in a year and a half, you would have had massive cirrhosis of the liver or just had full-on liver failure. Best case scenario, as a rough timeline, from a year and a half, you would have had about another year and a half before you would have died. So essentially, my death day would be October 5th of 2025 if I hadn't gone on ahead and got help, because they told me that I was going to be dead probably within 3 years.
And it's a pretty horrific death.
It is
for everybody involved.
Yeah. So it's one of those at rehab, they get to they have, it's not just feel good stories all the time.
Yeah.
When you're in the rehab, they actually give you the actual medical science as to what's going on. Well, one of them, if you chose on your free time, was to learn more about it with the doctor, and they actually showed you what somebody looks like while they're going through full-on liver failure and while they have cirrhosis of the liver. That is probably one of the most horrifically painful deaths I have seen that somebody would end up having to go through, because it's just slow, painful, and there's no going back.
No, there's not.
How old are you, Gordon?
I am 33.
What would 33-year-old Gordon, knowing what you know now, say to 16-year-old Gordon?
Oof, I would have told 16-year-old Gordon, in 6 years, don't go on ahead and believe the hype of you have to hold everything in by yourself. It's going to ruin you. There is nothing wrong with saying I could use some help, or hey, this is kind of fucking with me. You don't have to be polite about it. Just get it out there. You'll end up seeing who your friends are, if anything, on saying, I need help. 16-year-old me, I mean, all of us when we're 16, we're invincible to the world. And then you just go on ahead and just compound upon that, thinking nothing can touch me. I'm untouchable. I'm made of steel. I don't get bothered. And then 16, like I hired on at 22, the department. And that just fed into that even more of, I can't be weak. I can't be vulnerable. I can't ask for help. So 16-year-old me, I would tell him, just ask for help. Feeling bad, ask for help.
So to come full circle with the bullshit email that is a trap, what's your rank now?
I am
Former senior corporal.
I am now a sergeant.
So it didn't affect not only did you go right back to work and serve a warrant within 24 hours of getting out, you're also now a sergeant.
So when I went into rehab, I was on the promotion list, but they hadn't gone to my name yet. When I got out, I figured that's going to be put to the wayside. It's going to be an issue.
I know that email's a scam.
It didn't affect that at all. I ended up getting the phone call. If any of y'all have seen ATO's podcast with me, it was only a couple months later that I ended up getting the phone call and promoting. So, I mean, absolutely nothing with my career. End up getting sidelined, derailed. They just gave me help. I couldn't believe it. There's no strings attached. It's.
But isn't that sad that comes as a surprise? That they cared and helped you is an anomaly. Isn't that sad that's...
It is sad, and it is a completely jaded opinion that most of us just end up developing towards our departments. I mean, it's not just ours. It would be Garland, it would be DPS, it would be DSO, it would be Rockwall.
Yep.
We all have one bad run-in with internal affairs or something else like that, and we immediately have the mindset of they're out to get us. It's not true. It's not true. And what ended up happening with me showed that my jaded mindset was it was bullshit.
Yeah.
The department actually does care. If you mess up, they're going to call you out like any other job's going to call you out. I was a little, honestly, I was being a little bitch about it. I got called out on some things that I ended up doing. Own it. Move on. Don't apply it to the entire department ever.
Yep. And that's the good thing that DPD's willing to, y'all are both willing to move on and not harp on, this is the same guy. That's the cool thing.
You shared Gordon's bad days, a couple of them in times. What's been your best ever?
Oh, my best day ever. There's so many different stories from when I was in violent crime network and getting the drug queen pin of Northeast or Northwest rather, getting all these guns, chasing after these guys, jumping into a trailer to pull them out. But really, the best days. Each day right now is its own best day. Is the current guys that I am getting to supervise. As much as I may groan about going into work like any one of us do, it doesn't matter how good your job is, you'll always find something to groan about. Like, I had to wake up earlier than I wanted. The guys that I currently supervise are probably some of the greatest officers I've ever had the privilege to be with, much less supervise. So I can't tell you which day is my best day because each and every single day that progresses is my best day. So
it's a great answer.
Yep.
It's a great answer.
Yeah. And if your death date was coming up in the next 5 months, every day is a damn good day.
Yeah. Oh God, yes, it is.
Yeah. Well, kudos to you and to your wife. We're in a day and time of we'll just pop smoke and split up, or people don't always support each other very well. Kudos to you and your wife for working through this and her support and steadfast sticking through you on that, man. What an incredible journey.
She's truly the light that ended up coming into my life. I'm not even looking at her and I can feel her rolling her eyes right now with me saying that. But she is for me, she is an absolute godsend. She has been in my corner with me every single step of the way, from being lied to in terms of like how much I was drinking, to being told that I was lying to her about my drinking, to then supporting me on getting help.
Yeah.
Instantaneously. No arguments, no condescension, nothing. Just she wanted to be able to help me. She has been there for me every single step of the way.
That's what good friends do. When you marry your best friend, that's what truly matters. So that's awesome.
Didn't mean to blindside you with Chief Garcia popping in.
That was excellent. I was not expecting that. And I just looked up, saw him, looked away, and then all of a sudden it registered in my brain. Hey, that's Chief.
I know.
But you two are pioneers of the culture shift that law enforcement is seeing, because it takes brave leaders willing to, like I mentioned when he was here, the easy thing to do is just cut bait with somebody out. He's trouble. I'll just cut bait with that dude. And then I never have to get in trouble with the city manager, or I never have to account for anything. That's the easy thing to do. It takes courage and leadership to do what he did, and then to stand by it. And I'll never forget him doubling down, and not even him being damn proud of you, because you carried one of your bracelets up there to him.
Mm-hmm.
And immediately he's tweeting that he's got the bracelet on and bragging about you and bragging about what you've accomplished. And most chiefs would be scared to death of that. If I need to put him on admin leave and hide his badge and gun and hide him or do away with it. And he didn't hide from it. He's freaking out promoting it. And for you for having the courage to come forward, even though you'd convinced yourself this is a scam, probably the end of my career, but screw it, I guess I'll still come forward. You two together have made a huge difference, I don't think, just for Dallas PD, because now you've allowed other people to be brave enough to go, well, shit, they didn't hammer Gordon. I can probably come forward and survive this. And in this day and time, for cops to continue to get DWIs, when we have ATOs that have the Uber program where they'll help, try and get you home, they have the OWL unit helping this. There's not a reason to not come out and try and be healthy. And you and Chief Garcia have been the tip of the spear on that.
Yep. Well,
Actually, this is just going to be real quick, because I had no idea how I was going to end up having this brought up, and you decided to go on ahead and mention it. Now, they're not quite as special because they weren't made there, but these are two bracelets with the skill that I ended up learning. They're for you
that's
guys.
cool, man.
Oh, heck yeah.
That's awesome.
There's one that's red and blue, and then there's not red and blue, red and black, and one's I like red. It might be too small. Most likely is, because I got tiny little wrists.
I like it.
But I wanted to be able to give you guys that as a gift for bringing me down.
That's good stuff, dude. Thank you, man.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Anything we didn't hit? Anything you want to share that we didn't hit?
I mean, the biggest thing is, if there's anybody that's listening and you're questioning if you can actually get the help, if you're worried about your department and they don't have any kind of alcohol leave program, don't sit in the dark. You're going to die. You're going to die there, or your career is going to die there. Because, especially if you're in Texas, you get popped with a DWI, your career's done. They're going to take your license for a minimum of 10 years for a misdemeanor B. A and above, it's gone forever. There have been other officers that were in the rehab center with me. And mind you, the rehab center is nationwide acceptance. So just saying that there was an officer there, his department doesn't have any kind of leave. He went and got a note from his doctor basically saying that he needed professional medical help, and it was vague. And then he drove himself to the rehab center. He had to use his own sick time, but he went and got help. And knowing who he is and getting to know him there, I can tell you right now, if he was willing to do that with his job, anybody can end up doing it. And I just really want to emphasize that you are not alone. All of our stories for us that are alcoholics, it's a different name, it's a different place, but it's the same story. Just reach out and get help.
Yeah. That's important.
Thank you for that.
Have you've seen some of our episodes? I don't know if y'all on Garcia's episode, but we typically like to end each episode with 3 rapid fire questions.
Okay.
You ready?
No, let's go.
What's your favorite cop car? Favorite line from a cop movie or a favorite cop movie? And then what do you like to do when you're just hanging out at the house now, the new Gordon?
So favorite cop car
Mhm.
that I've driven or just in general?
In general, your favorite all-time police car.
Oh.
It could be both.
Okay, so I like the Crown Vics. Never got to drive one though. If it had to be one that I drove, y'all gonna be sad. It's the Chevy Tahoe.
Yeah. No, those are
That-
good.
Yeah, I mean it's great until you end up hitting a turn hard, and then you get to feel two of the wheels come off the ground.
Yeah,
but,
yeah, that's scary.
but I love the way the Crown Vics looked, and seeing videos of them. Unfortunately, I never got to drive one.
You didn't miss anything.
Yeah. What's your favorite line from a cop movie or your favorite cop movie?
Favorite cop movie? Lethal Weapon 1. I grew up on Lethal Weapon and Die Hard, and all of Clint Eastwood's, what was it? It was Magnum Force was the first one I ended up seeing of the Dirty Harrys.
Yep.
But yeah, Lethal Weapon 1 was my all-time favorite.
And what does Gordon like to sip on or eat whenever you're just hanging out, enjoying your time off?
Whenever I'm enjoying my time off, I actually just like to sip on an energy drink, not pound it back to feel normal. I actually get to feel the energy from it.
Yep. White Monsters are the way to go for sure.
I actually have, that's normally the one I end up drinking, but we stopped off on the way down from North Texas, and they didn't have any White Monsters, so that's why if anybody's seeing the C4 here.
C4, if you'd like to be a sponsor of Blue Grit, please give us a call at info@tmpa.org. Man, I can't thank you enough for coming down. Your story is incredible. It's a story of perseverance and determination, and man, I can't thank you enough.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for allowing me to come on.
For sure. Clint, you got anything else?
Man, you're an example, a long overdue example that we need in our career. And hear what he said. Thank you.
Yep. Well, you guys take care. Stay safe. It's starting to heat up, so we're starting to get really busy in the law enforcement area. We got spring breaks coming up. Summer's coming up, so it's fixing to crank off. So you guys take care. Stay safe. And as always, God bless you and God bless Texas. We're out.